Welcome in everybody to the Seth Floyd Show. Thought I'd do a quick video today here at work. Things got crazy last night, was not able to record at home. But I wanted to record a video today and just hop in on this, the Brock Purdy contract, what happens in the future. Some weird things have been said in the media. Brian Baldinger and some others have made some interesting suggestions. So I just wanted to hop in and I just found a few minutes here at work. Gonna be a quick video. I apologize for the messy office. It's almost that time of year, guys. It's almost, you hit the new year, time to do your taxes. Hit me up, by the way, if you need your taxes done. Okay, doesn't matter what state you live in, hit me up. We're the tax firm.
I'll do your taxes. Federal and state.
Federal and state.
So free advertising, okay? I guess it's not necessarily free, but whatever, hit me up. I'll do that for you as the year turns over. Here we go. Brock Purdy is due for a contract extension, and it's been in the news. We've been talking about it. Everyone's been talking about it, and Brian Baldinger said something that I think is just crazy. I didn't think it was crazy a few weeks ago, and the more I've thought about it, I think it's crazy. And he was talking about how he would flip Purdy for Darnold. The idea being, look, they have had similar, you'd probably put him in the same tier of quarterback after seeing how Darnold played this year so far. Man, I got something in my mind. But the concept, I guess, is you could either pay Brock Purdy $50 to $60 million a year, or you could go get Sam Darnold if he leaves in free agency, which is not a guarantee, by the way. Leaves in free agency, and you could sign him for $30 million a year, $35 million a year. That's what's so tantalizing about him. There's some things in that there are some intangible things, I think, that aren't being considered. One, just the cohesion that Brock brings. Just the, hey, Brock's been our leader for 2.5 years now, and for the most part, things have been great. And it's not like this year, everyone is playing good except for Brock. It is everybody outside of George Kittle. And man, I'm having a hard time even thinking of anybody else who's consistently been really good all year. Fred, he's had a fractured ankle, so I give him a pass. But anyway, everyone's had a down year. So to just dump Brock feels irresponsible. Also, like, Darnold isn't blowing the doors off of the league right now. He's played much better than he's ever played. Has a great roster. I think everyone overlooked how good Minnesota's roster was because their quarterback situation was in such flux. But they've got a really solid run game, a really good offensive line. That is banged up right now, but very solid offensive line. Possibly the best receiver in the league, depending on who you like more, Jefferson or Chase. Jordan Addison is great. TJ Hawkinson's very good. And they have an incredible defense with a defensive coordinator that's as good as anyone. So, like, it's been a perfect storm for Darnold. And you risk throwing some of the cohesion, some of the camaraderie and the trust that has been built in Brock if you just let him walk, which you're not going to let him walk. So if you just bring in Sam Darnold, Brock's going to be on the team still. You're going to sign Sam Darnold for $30 million a year, then have Brock play on his 4th year and have him compete, and you're okay. Like, what if Brock wins that competition? He's won it once before. You're just going to let Darnold be a backup for $30 million a year? It just doesn't, it doesn't jive. It doesn't make sense. I think people are overreacting to this year a little bit, which rightfully so. Like, I've had my opinion come down on Brock a little bit. I really have. I thought he would be a guy that could get you to the playoffs regardless of circumstance. I even said that to my coworker, Scott. I even said that to him earlier this year. I was like, I think the floor for the Niners, when they have Purdy and when they have Shanny, is wild card playoff team every single year. And I was taking into account, like, I don't care about injuries. I just thought he'd be able to get it done because of what he showed last year. And that has not been the case. But that's okay. There's like 3, maybe 4 guys in the NFL that can survive any kind of adversity and still get their team to the playoffs year in and year out. Mahomes, Allen. Man, I say that about Joe Burrow, and now I'm realizing they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But I think most people think Joe Burrow is in that tier, and Burrow's having an incredible year. And then, like, Lamar Jackson. Like, these guys, so if you don't want Burrow in there, fine. Maybe he just proved me wrong. But you get my point. Like, there's not that many guys on the face of the planet that can overcome the adversity every single time and just will their team to championship level status or contender status, whatever you want to say. So it doesn't bother me that the 49ers are going to pay him, which brings me to this. The Brock conversation is exhausting because this is where everyone wants to throw out all these like hypotheticals that are just never going to happen. They might be fun to talk about, and that's off-season talk, but they're not going to go sign Sam Darnold. Watch them do it now, and I feel like an idiot. They're not going to go sign Sam Darnold for $30 million a year and try to have him replace Brock. They've already told you what they're going to do. They've already said, there's been reports, like they view Brock as their guy. They view Shanahan as their guy, and Shanny loves Brock Purdy. So they're going to pay him. The question is, I don't want to waste my time with these hypotheticals that are never going to happen. If there is reports that come out that, hey, the 49ers are considering trying to bring back Sam Darnold, great. Then I'll have that conversation. If there's reports coming out that say, hey, the 49ers are looking to move up in the draft to maybe take one of these quarterbacks, which is not going to happen. It's a weak quarterback class anyway. But then fine. Then we can talk about that. Like, then I can have that conversation. But when the reports are like, hey, the Brock's their guy, they see him as the future, and they're going to sign him to a lucrative deal this offseason, then what else are we debating? The only thing to talk about is what should he be paid. Tim Kawakami writes for The Athletic, 49er guy, really does really good work. He gave this long, elaborate article kind of on the topic, and I just want to point out one thing he talked about. And he said, look, that I think if I had to guess, he says this isn't insider information, but it's always like he's making an educated guess because he's in the building and he kind of hears what people are saying, or at least he gets the vibes and the attitudes of people. He says, if I had to take a guess, the 49ers are going to sign him to the Jordan Love deal or similar to it, which Jordan Love, he signed 4 years, $55 million a year. Kawakami suggests that they'll do like a 3 to 4 year deal at a little bit less than 55. So like 52, 53, how much lower? Can it be 50? And I think he's spot on. One, the shorter contract, I think the 49ers, especially after this year, would love to do a shorter contract, 3 to 4 years, or at least have a 3-year deal and they can get out of it after 3 years. Because also the truth is in 3 years, if you sign him for 3 year 50, even if you sign him for $55 million a year, in 3 years it's going to look like a bargain because the market resets, the cap goes up, and it gives them some safety. Because if Brock really just regresses and 2023 was just an anomaly, like they can get out of it if they structure it correctly, which they will do because that is a 49ers special. Okay, that's what they do. At $53 million a year, even 55, is fine with me, I guess. It doesn't bother me that much. The only thing that would bother me is if they gave him more than Dak Prescott, if they gave him the highest paid, that would bother me. I know that the report said Brock is seeking a top of the market contract, but that can mean a lot of things. Top of the market is kind of a relative phrase. In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe for some people, top of the market means he has to be the highest paid. To me, top of the market is like you're top 10, you're flirting with top 5. You're at the top of the market. Top of the market is one of these $50 million and above contracts, not a Baker Mayfield contract at $35 a year. And Brock seems like the kind of guy he's not going to take a huge hometown discount, but Brock seems like the kind of guy where you can go to him and say, look, if you will take 53 a year instead of 60 a year, we can re-sign a couple of these guys. That helps us out a lot. And if you prove it, then we'll continue to extend you, kind of deal. Brock seems like the kind of guy that would be open to that idea. You're not going to go to him and say, hey, can you take $45 million a year? I don't think he's going to do that. But I think you could talk him into $5 million less or whatever the case may be. The only way any of this Darnold and different quarterback talk gets real and could potentially happen is if Brock plays hardball, which nothing in Brock's personality makes it sound like he would do that. But if Brock comes in and says, I have to be paid higher than Dak Prescott or I'm sitting out, which again doesn't fit his character, what we've seen from him, but that's always on the table. That at that point is where you could see them saying, look, we dealt with this last year with Brandon Ayuk. We are not doing this again. If you are staunch, you're not doing that, then fine. We will trade you and we will sign Sam Darnold or whatever. And if that were the case, I will say this, if Brock plays hardball and is like, I have to be the highest paid quarterback in the league, and he wants 62, 65 million or something crazy like that, I would be fully supportive of them doing something drastic. For one, just to move on from the drama and not have people holding out into camp. But also, I hate to say it, I think that you could get some similar production from Sam Darnold. Now, I think Brock brings the leadership. He's won those guys over in the locker room. He has cohesion and camaraderie with them. That is a value, and I'm willing to pay Brock more than I would pay Sam Darnold for that, and just like how much he knows Shanny's system, all of that, I will pay for that. But if Brock is like, I have to make 60 to 65 million a year, or I'm not showing up to camp, then I would have that conversation. I would entertain that conversation. Like, guys, should we just bring in Sam Darnold for half the price and build the team and just try to get it rolling? I would, at that point, then I would. But look, I think at the end of the day, I think people are overreacting to this down season that everybody has had. I think, and I will leave you with this, I think if the 49ers, the heart of their struggles this year has been on the offensive and defensive line. Okay, this has been a weird year because, like, statistically, the 49ers are still like top 10 in a bunch of offensive categories. But the eye test says different. It's one of those years where the eye test doesn't really match up with the statistics, because when you watch them play, it's obvious they have problems on the offensive line. It's obvious they do not run the ball the same that they did last year. And that could be injuries on the offensive line, could be injuries as Christian McCaffrey, could be Kyle Shanahan has not stayed one step ahead, which I think that's a big part of it. He has not anticipated and needed and stayed one step ahead in the run game scheme, and I think it's bit him in the butt. And I think that this offseason, if they can upgrade the O-line even just a little bit, and Kyle can go into the lab this offseason and come up with some new things to keep the run game fresh and keep teams on their toes, I think you will see us revert back to closer to what 2023 is. I don't know if we'll ever hit efficiency levels that we did in 2023, but you will see closer to those numbers. And you'll see Brock being closer to what he was in 2023, and everyone will take a sigh of relief and feel good about the contract that they gave him. That's what I got for you, okay? Don't let this get out of control. They're going to sign him. Unless Brock pulls some weird thing that we've never seen from before, they're going to sign him. He's going to be your quarterback. My guess would be at least for the next 5 years. And the biggest thing is, can they... Oh, this is what I jumped. The only way I am pro, even if Brock was like, hey, I'll sign for $55 million a year, even if he says that, the only way I would be pro, like, moving off of him is... I think your biggest priority outside of like improving the offensive line this year is re-signing Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw. Those have to be your highest priorities. Look at how different the defense looked when they were on the field together in that Rams game. If there's a situation where it's like, look, Brock, you have to take, if you don't take $45 million a year or $50 million a year, we can't re-sign these guys. We're gonna have to let one of them walk. And Brock is like, don't care. That's a you problem, not a me problem. Like, then I would be like, look, I just would rather have these defensive pieces than Brock Purdy at 55, 60 million a year. I don't think that's controversial to say. Maybe it is to some people, but that's where I would draw the line. If I genuinely have crunched the numbers, tried to fit this puzzle piece together, and there's simply no way to do it without signing Brock to a real hometown discount, then I would have that conversation. Okay, I don't think that's the case. I think you can get all three of those dudes signed, and I think that's their plan. But we'll see. It's somehow, this offseason is going to be more entertaining and more crazy than last offseason was. And I thought last offseason was the pits and it would never get any worse. And then here we are. Bad season, missed the playoffs. Brock's up for an extension, and we got other guys we got to sign. We got to upgrade the O-line. Regardless, it's going to be fun. It's not going to be boring offseason, 49er fans. That's all I got for you. Like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, let me know what you think Brock should sign for. I'm out.